The world of video editing is constantly evolving, and so are the processes that shape a finished product. Today, we're exploring the full journey of a video, from the initial planning in pre-production all the way through to the final tweaks in post-production. How does a creative vision evolve at each stage? What crucial steps need to be taken in preparation, collaboration, and the craft that goes into transforming raw footage into a polished video? Join us as we welcome Willie Freeman and Geoffrey to the show, where we will dive into their insights as a videographer and the director of platform engagement. I am so excited to dive into this episode of Render Time. In today's episode, we're breaking down the entire video editing journey, from the very first spark of an idea in pre-production all the way to that final polished project in post-production. We'll explore what goes into planning a video, the tools and workflows that make editing smooth, and the key steps to bringing your footage from raw clips to a captivating finished product. I'm Blake Tamble, a video editor for MarketScale, and I will be your host for today's episode.
Thanks, Blake. My name is Geoffrey Short. I'm a director of platform engagement here at MarketScale. So what that means is I'm on the front lines with the clients in terms of all the videos that we're creating, mainly coaching, guiding, strategizing with them, and teaching them on best practices in studio and for on-site videos, et cetera. So really just an evangelist, I would say, to our clients of how to best use our tools to their advantage and make sure they have a smooth experience. So that's what I spend my day doing.
What a great intro. I can't top that whatsoever. Hey, everyone. I'm Willie Freeman. I'm a videographer and video editor here. So working behind the scenes to make sure we make our clients happy.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. So I want to start at the beginning of the creative process. So when a client wants to create a video and they need our help every step of the way, including being at an on-site video shoot for them, what are the steps that client has to take in order to get their video to production?
I can jump in and take that one. On-site videos are really powerful. I mean, you get amazing footage, you can tell amazing stories, and it's a great opportunity for clients to get a lot of voices into a video, which is always, sometimes can be easier said than done. So really love doing on-site videos, and it is a very collaborative process, right? There's a lot of unknowns on our end at the beginning, right? We don't know where we're showing up, what that building looks like. So for a client, I guess for them to start at all, they can log right into MarketScale Studio, and there is a button that says on-site videos. From there, they can click in, they can select their date, they can put in that address, and they can add a few notes about what are we doing? Is this a trade show? Is this at our office and we need a company culture video, et cetera? So that's really this first step, is them just simply booking it through the tool. They don't even actually have to interact with a director or a DMS to do that. From there, I mean, this is typically the case. We'll have been talking about it, right? Hey, we want to have you come by and film this product demonstration or to film our booth at a trade show. So first step is booking it through the platform. That locks it in. And then you'll start planning with your director or digital media strategist on the actual nuts and bolts, making sure that we know what we're doing, what our objectives are. So we can get into that a little bit later in our conversation here. But that's step one, is just booking it right in the platform.
Awesome. Wow, that's really easy.
I have a long answer for a very simple thing. One button, address, date, you're done. You're on the board.
That's great. Okay, so then from there, how do they get a videographer like Willie onto the shoot?
Yeah, and actually, Willie, I'd love to hear your opinion about where you come into this too. But basically, our team takes care of everything as far as the travel logistics, any kind of lodging we need to do. All of that is taken care of for the client. There's no extra cost there. So once we get that booking, we then tap into our video network. So Alex LeBlanc, who runs all of our video shoots, puts out that opportunity to our network, and then he makes a match with the videographers that make the most sense for that shoot. And then that information is translated to the client so that they know who's showing up on that day. So that's the step. And Willie, I don't know if you have anything to add from your perspective as far as how you're made aware, and then exactly.
I think your explanation is great when it comes to, finding a match perfect for the client. I don't know if we can really top that. That's perfect.
So Alex then contacts you and says, "Hey, like we have a shoot like in your area. Would you be interested?"
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. And so then once everybody's like all set up, how do you guys both work together like during the pre-production phase to ensure that the content aligns with the client's like overall vision for the video?
I can say from like the client services side, I mean, it's on us to get that vision out of the client. And we know that not every client has done a video like this before. So oftentimes we'll send them just a short kind of checklist, right? Again, address, start time. Are we doing interviews? We build out a little bit of a mock schedule. And that's where you do have to be detail oriented on the client services department to say, okay, if I get a schedule back and there's no time listed between arrival time and interviews, right? Saying, hey, client, we need to book an hour where we can set up the interview setup. Or if we're going to be doing B-roll, you need a lot more than 20 minutes. You're going to need to budget more time. Lunch we need to have on there, right? So it starts, I would say, with the client services department, working with the client to really be detail oriented on when do you need to start filming? What is the, even little things like access to the building. Are we going to get stopped by a checkpoint in the parking lot? Do we need to sign a waiver, right? Like little things like that make sure we have an efficient day. And then, as it relates to, and I'll let Willie get in here to speak about it from maybe like what he needs to hear. But ultimately, I think it's all about just communication and clarity and just saying, client, let's maybe start from the end. What do you want to see edited out of this? If I know you need a product video, or if I know you need a culture video, that might change our schedule. That might change our shot list. So we try to extrapolate, what does success look like for the client? Like, what 3 videos are you looking to get out of this? That might help us with the schedule for the day, being most efficient with them. But that also, I think, helps us describe it then to Willie to say, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve. Because we know, Willie is the seasoned veteran creative person here. I can tell him what we're trying to achieve, but I trust Willie if he knows that we're doing a culture video, that he knows what to then film for that, right? He knows to then get people giving each other a high five and collaborating and showing the artwork on their walls, right? So again, I know I'm kind of circling around the answer, but basically it starts with really being detail oriented on the actual day of filming and understanding what the client wants. You can then give your opinion and expertise on how you might go about that, and then just translating that to Willie. And then typically just from a process standpoint, always smart to have that on like a one-sheeter, just easy access, but also having a call with Willie and just talking through the little details, because so many times we film with clients multiple times. We know, oh, hey, don't film this area. They really don't like showing off that area or something. Like those little nuggets that you need to translate over to Willie. But Willie, I'll let you speak to what helps you feel confident going into a shoot. What do you need and what is helpful?
Yeah, of course. I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of have a pretty decent understanding of what the client is asking for, even if they don't know what they want exactly yet. So I would say the pre-production calls that we have before are super important, because you guys help us kind of, if there are going to be any hurdles, we have a general idea of how we can solve them before shoot time. And I just want to say shout out to the team for definitely doing your part on that end. You guys make our shoots go super smooth. And if we didn't have those pre-production calls, it could turn badly really quickly. So
that's awesome. So then when you guys are like on the shoot at production, what are some of the most like common challenges that you face while you're filming?
Yeah. I would say every production is different. And I know that's super vague, but there's so many things that could go wrong with the production, and everything could be hypothetical. You know, you don't know if your memory card is going to go out. You don't know if your tripod leg may break, or if your camera battery may die and you may miss a shot. But I think when the situations like that happen, we in our pre-production meeting, we kind of work and collaborate together to kind of work around those potential issues that may come. Me personally, when I get my shoots from MarketScale, I like to collaborate and communicate with the second videographer away from our actual pre-production, just so we know, like, I'm like, hey, I know you're bringing audio, but I want to bring a backup audio just in case if yours goes out or if mine goes out, right? So I think that's one of the key things that we do to help avoid the common issues.
How do you, both of you guys, like manage client expectations around the video production?
That's hugely important, I think, ultimately. And it comes with experience, but you really just have to be clear. And I think a client would rather, from my experience, hear before the shoot something straight up cannot be done. Is not physically possible to be in two places at the same time, or you're asking for something that's out of the scope of what we can do. Or even if it's just, hey, I strongly recommend you don't film something that way. It's going like, you want to film outside, that's going to be very risky. I highly recommend you don't do that. The more you can be clear and upfront about what can and cannot be done, then you control what you can control. I would rather err on that side than we'll try to squeeze it in, and yeah, we're going to do it for you. And you can try to squeeze things in or do things, but you just have to be clear with them, like, hey, that is a risk. That is a risk. And that's what I said earlier, right? Where, to no fault of their own, like a lot of clients will just like not budget enough time in the schedule for moving or something like that. Like they'll do no time for setup of interviews, just like B-roll from this time to this time, then interview. Or like stage shot, then interview, right? And so you have to just be clear and kind of diligent with them to say, need more time or can't do that. So that's how and if they push back on that, I mean, we have a pretty good leg to stand on just from our experience to say that's just, or you can say, okay, we will try to do it as your schedule is written, but you're going to probably have some hiccups. So that's kind of my 2 cents there. Just trying to get ahead of those issues. I mean, certainly if things go haywire on site, Willie just spoke to a couple things that you can try to do to avoid those, but that's, again, kind of just out of your control. So, and that's why you want to always make sure that you're starting these, if I have advice to the client services team watching this, trying to get those productions booked well in advance so that you do have a lot of time to prep and get ahead. And because we know that they're scheduling interviews with their people and their calendars shift. We get that. So the more time you have in advance, the better. But overall, it's being clear. You'll learn from experience, the amount of time that you need for certain things. So I'd probably chalk it up to that.
Do you have anything to add to that one, Willie?
A lot of, it seems like MarketScale clients really trust us and our expertise. So when we come to them and say, hey, a certain shot won't look good, they kind of understand that we're not doing it in a way to push back against them, but to make their video look good, that they just have full trust in us there. So I don't really come across too many people where they're like, oh, well, we have to get this shot and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's actually you made a really good point there that is good for everyone to hear. When you're pushing back on a client, it should come across this way. It maybe doesn't always feel this way, but it should be like, it's in your best interest. I'm saying this not because it's like easier for me or more convenient, but it's going to yield a better product for you. I'm telling you to lighten up on the schedule so that you can have more time. I'm telling you to not film the interview in this space because we won't be able to hear the person speaking, right? So that's a really good point you made about suggesting things in a way that is client first.
Yeah, that's really awesome too, that I feel like MarketScale has really great rapport with their clients too, where they're able to trust all of the people on the shoot. Like, okay, you guys know what you're doing. You're the professionals. I'm going to let you like pick what's best here. So that's really cool too. Okay, so now we're done with the video shoot. So Willie, what do you do with the footage after you are all done with the shoot? What happens to it?
Yeah, of course. We use a program called Media Shuttle, and we send over the raw footage to whoever's behind that. But yeah, and normally it's super smooth. It's really fast, and whoever's doing the next step in coloring and post-production normally has a great starting point.
So do you do editing too sometimes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so pretend you picked up your own edit.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, of course. So the next step after a video production would be to do a thing called a pre-edit. That's when we chop out all the little small mistakes, the ums, the uhs, and we color the footage to make it look very nice and appealing. And then I get normally I'll get a set of deliverables regarding to the shoot that we just did and the pre-edit that I just did. But yeah, we try to bring the client's vision to life through the video.
Do you feel like editing your own videos that you've shot makes you a better videographer?
I do. I feel like sometimes when I'm on set that I have a better understanding of what the client wants in the video. So it's really like a great balance that I do shoot and edit here because I'm on set. So I get to learn the client's vision or get an idea of like what they want exactly. So when I'm in editing, I know for a fact there may be something slightly on camera that he doesn't want seen. And I can just, instead of another editor picking it up or they don't know this, they will make that small mistake and they may have a change come back versus I'll get it right the first time.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So then after like editing, how, does the client see it? So what happens, I guess, then? Geoffrey, do you send it to them or what happens?
Yep. So typically, to kind of play off of what Willie was saying in his process, like the director or the digital media strategist will see that the pre-edit has been completed by Willie. At that point, that's your signal to say, okay, this footage is cleaned up. It's ready to roll. So you would that person, the client services representative, would submit their deliverable requests. So you're going to MarketScale Studio. You're maybe even just recording your own video, explaining the vision for it. And you're saying, hey, here's the footage to use. So that triggers that editing process. You go to Studio, submit the video for editing. And then whether it's Willie or someone else is going to edit that video. And at that point, when it's been when it's been edited, you review it. If it hits the mark, you just approve it in the platform and the client is alerted that the video is there for them for their review. And then if there's any kind of back and forth revisions, you just kind of repeat the same process, but it's that simple.
Great. And then what are like some common challenges usually with the post-production process for maybe, the editor and the client working together?
I think, and again, I'm curious to see what Willie has to say from his viewpoint, but if you've done a good job in the pre-production, you should have a pretty good understanding of what the video is going to look like. You know what questions we asked. You're beholden to what they said, right? And maybe we don't have crystal clear vision into what the B-roll looks like until we see it. But I mean, generally speaking, you'll at least hit the mark in terms of like the overall theme. And if it doesn't hit the mark, then you'll send it back to the editor before it gets to the client. So you should get to a point where you feel confident in that. As far as like challenges with the client, everyone's a little bit different. Some are going to, no matter what, are going to nitpick it. They're going to go crazy on the edits. They're going to want to change the music, the shots, every single thing. So that inherently can be a challenge if they are just never satisfied. I think going back to like the whole theme maybe of what I'm talking about is clarity though. Where I find it to be tricky is when a client is unclear with their changes, right? change the music, right? To what? More serious, more fun, etc. Things like that, where you have to be kind of that buffer in client services to say, we need a little more clarity here. Or, you mentioned this, but I might not know what that technical term of your business is. If you want to show X product, I don't know what that is, right? So that's probably the usual. It's just kind of communication, being very, very clear with your language. I know it's easier maybe to visualize something in your head than like type it out into the notes. So I'd say that's probably where we have issues, outside of like, if for some reason the ball was just straight up dropped on, like we did not get the shots that we needed or something like that. That's a whole different animal and very rarely happens. But Willie, what do you think? Like what kind of irks you or is troublesome when you are dealing with like revisions or, anything from a client perspective?
Every shoot I've done for like the past 4 months have been like spot on. And it's crazy. It's like not in like a form of a bragging way, but like I rarely get like a crazy revision. You hit the spot with the music revision though. Oh, that's like that is something that is very common. I wouldn't say it's frustrating because, I feel like maybe they don't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
What they want. So, but yeah, there's not too many things that come across where it's like nothing you can't handle.
Yeah. I feel like the longer the client has worked like with MarketScale, usually they're like the briefs in the edit request like get more and more and more clear, and they know like, to include like, oh, make sure we use like this lower third or this specific intro or music that feels like this certain style. So I feel like that is really helpful too. I really like working on videos with clients that have like been with us for a while. Cause I'm like, oh yes, like super clear. And then when I edit it, then they get it back. They're like, yay, exactly what I wanted. And I'm like, yes, everyone wins.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell. I mean, and that's another part of the client services role, is to coach them on how to use it effectively. So that's sometimes, and maybe it's not really like an issue that makes it down to the editing team, but like, are they leaving comments in the wrong place? Like they're not leaving it in the editing, media studio. They're leaving it in the comment section or in an email, and it doesn't translate exactly to certain timestamps, right? So it's a little vague. Like you have to coach them on that front, not even necessarily the editing, but how to get the edits in motion in an efficient way. So that's maybe another challenge, but good point there, Willie.
Can you share an example of a particularly smooth collaboration between the videographer, the editor, and the DMS that resulted in a great final product for client?
Yep. I mean, kind of like Willie said, I'm very fortunate where I've not had many experiences where everyone wasn't aligned. Not every shoot has a crystal clear agenda, like buttoned up schedule, but as long as you know what you need to achieve and the client knows that's kind of how it is, then should be in good shape. One that sticks out to me though is our client Unicom Engineering. They had a charity golf outing this fall that we filmed at. So it was kind of a challenging shoot in terms of, golf course is a huge place. So you can capture so much. It's a moving target, right? You're dealing with people who are not just sitting down in an interview chair. There's a lot of like run and gun shooting of different people, all across the property and whatnot. So the client was nice to work with in terms of they sent us like headshots of people that we wanted to get some audio and video from. So that was very helpful. They gave us as much detail as they could on the schedule of events. When will the buses arrive with the people? When are we having our big toast, right? Is there like a ceremonial tee shot at the beginning, right? They gave us as many details as possible. And so that was very helpful on the client front. Then we had the pre-production call with the videographer. What I really appreciated with that particular videographer is he was not simply an order taker. He was a collaborator. He said, okay, I hear what you're trying to accomplish. I've done shoots like this. I'm going to bring a certain piece of equipment that is going to help me get that kind of a shot, or a certain lens that's going to help me because I know we're filming outdoors. He did a very nice job of making recommendations, knowing that this was a bit of a different type of shoot for us. So I really appreciated that. And then on the editing side, it was kind of the normal process, but because we had good pre-production and then had a very high quality footage, because the videographer, right, made such good recommendations and adjustments, it made that edit hard to miss, right? Like you had great footage, you had great clips, and the vision was clear on it. So it was I think they just posted it without any revisions. So it was very good. Client helping us with understanding what we wouldn't know. Who is Jim Smith, right? We don't know Jim Smith. So having a headshot of him is great. The timing of the arrival of people, like we want to get that shot of people coming off the bus. So it's going to be arriving at 9:30. Then we can't miss it, right? And just all the way through, it became a very successful thing. And it was just nice to get a lot of their partners involved, the charitable partners as well. So it was, for a good cause. I'm glad it came out for them, but it was good from start to finish.
Okay, well, that is the episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and we will see you later.
Excellent. Thanks, Blake. Thanks, Willie.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.